So when we start up this engine, okay, can you see that light staying on, and if anything it gets a bit brighter as the engine revs harder. You see, so perhaps that's not coming through actually, but the fact is we've got the light on, so I think probably a loose fan belt, so we're going to look at that first. Well, I think we can safely say this fan belt is loose. So we're going to tighten that up a bit now. Okay, I think that should be better. So we'll go and take a look. Well, it's not that. So I think my alternator's good because it's clearly charging, and yet the light's still on. So what I think is, I think that light comes on when there's unequal power on the circuit, so that must mean somewhere the fuel isn't coming, electricity isn't coming through. I also think it's sounding a lot rougher suddenly, and I don't know if that's the exhaust is about to go. But actually I think it is. Yeah. Okay, so my understanding is this warning light here will come on when there's power through the circuit, and so I'm guessing, and I don't really understand this, but I'm presuming that this wire here causes that to balance out. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not sure that does make sense. But if we're going from the ignition then to the fuse box and then back out to there, so if we've got a poor connection here or a poor connection here, that I guess could cause it. So when it's light, we'll have a look at that. Right, I'm trying to work out why I've got this. My understanding is, it's the next day, so I'm just going to repeat this possibly. But my understanding is that the ignition light comes on if you've got an inequality of power. So initially you've got an inequality because it's only coming from the alternator when you hit the ignition. But then after that you get a circuit completed, and so it should balance, and so you've got no current running through the light. Okay, and so I've been thinking about the things that I did when I was putting it back together, and one is, of course, I connected the distributor back up, and I've got an electronic one, so I've got red here and black there, so I've got red to the same place as I have my green and white terminals. And the other thing was, on the starter motor, one of the connectors had fallen off, so I fixed it. Now I've got my ignition on, and when I earth this here, just make sure I've got it in view. There we go. I've got my 12 volts, okay? So I've got the full 12 volts here, all right? But I'm going to show you below now because I don't seem to have it there. Okay, so here we are below the car. And where can I get this in? There we go. So here we've only got 6 volts. Now I don't think that should be right. I'm pretty sure it should be 12. So I don't know if that's a poor connection, or I'm not quite sure why it would be. If we look at this, this is just, I've left that cap on there and I connected it up here. So I could have done a really bad job here. But, you know, if you've got a connection, you've got a connection generally. Otherwise I got resistance along this wire, I guess. So I could try just running a wire directly down. I don't know, right, so, but this doesn't seem right to me, so that's the next thing to look at. Okay, so I figured it's cheap and easy to check that connector. And so if I do that, oh, I haven't got the ignition on. And so if I do that, I've still only got my 6 volts. Is that coming out? There we go. However, if I disconnect the distributor from it, so the distributor is now disconnected. Can we see that? It says over 12. So, have I got something wrong with my distributor? Or is that what it's meant to be doing? I'm not sure. So that's my next thing to look at. Okay, so I've worked out or understood that actually when you start the engine, you get an extra boost of power from the starter motor, and so that's why we have the difference in the voltage between what is at the starter motor and what we get at the alternator. Now I have to say it looks the wrong way round to me, because I'd have thought the 12 came from here, and so we would only see, whereas this one here would only be the 6, but I'm just going to accept it as it is. I know that that's not the issue now. So the next thing to look at is if we've got a difference in voltage, it's something to do with the battery. So we're going to check that the battery is good. Okay, so in order to check that the battery is good, one of the tests is to put your headlights on for a couple of minutes and then to switch them off and to switch the engine on. So let's turn those headlights off. Okay, and what we should see is we should see this not fall below 10 if the battery is good when we start the engine. Okay, and so that was good. Now that's actually the second time I've done it. The first time it did, it fell to 9.9, so we're going to test this battery. We're going to go down, take it out, we're going to take it down to the local shop and get them to test it for us. Okay, so we've been to the local shop, they've confirmed everything is good on the battery. So we're going to check connectivity now. So here I've got the brown and white wires that go into my fuse box. And we should have connectivity from the alternator to that. And okay, I don't know if you can hear that. But there we go, we've got that connectivity, so that's all good. And we should also have connectivity from there to the wires down here. So let's check that. Okay, and again that's good. So we've got connectivity the whole way around. So we've got connectivity definitely from here through to here, from here to here. We could plug this back in, to be honest, and we can just confirm once again, and we can just do a connectivity check from there all the way over here. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that should mean we've got connectivity all the way through the warning light, alternator warning light fuse, the whole way around the circuit. Should have good connectivity based on that. So what's next? So the next is we're going to look at the alternator now. Okay. Okay, so I found an article that says if the warning light gets dimmer as you rev, it's most likely the alternator that's gone bad. If it gets brighter, it's most likely the battery that's gone bad. And so that would be because presumably the battery's not holding the charge from the alternator, something like that. Now I guess the other end of that is it could be that the alternator is sending too much charge, which would be the diodes, is what I understand. So I've come across a test, and I have a diode test on my meter here. And what we should see is if I have one end of the circuit on the diode and the other on the earth, sorry, on the power, and the other on the earth on the alternator, I should get a reading one way round and no reading the other. If I'm getting a reading both way rounds, I have a fault. Okay, so let's see if we can get this in. So we'll see if we can do this. So we've got, okay, so we're getting a reading with the positive on there and the negative on the earth. If we do it the other way round, we're getting a reading again. It's a slightly different reading. It's lower, but we are still getting a reading. Let's just check that again. Okay, so I think that means that the diodes, or one or multiple of them, have gone on the alternator. So what we'll do is we'll test on another car just to make sure that that's right, as in I don't get the same result on another car, and we'll go from there. Oh well, God, I love the Stag, but boy, that alternator's hard to get at. I couldn't actually test it on the Stag. I ended up testing on the BMW, and on the BMW I get a reading one way and not the other. So I'm going to assume that that's the problem and order a new alternator, and we will go from there. So through the magic of video, we have here one new alternator. So we will now take the other one off, put this one on, and see if that sorts our problem. Fingers crossed. Okay, so not sure what to do here. This one came out of there. On this one it's threaded, and it's not turning beyond there. So I don't know if that's a different thread. Okay, so I've just been confirming what my issue is, and the issue is it is a 5/16 thread, which is 1/2 inch bolt, but this bolt, so this bolt is an NF24, whereas what this thread is an NC18. So I'm guessing at some point they've changed the bolt on here, and I was just looking to see if I've got a drill bit big enough, and I don't think I have a drill bit big enough to do this. So I think my best option might actually be to try, I'm just very nervous about my best option might be to try to redo the thread. Okay, well, let's give it a go. Good. Right. Good. So we will start putting it all back together now. Okay, so we'll just put it in place temporarily. Not sure I've got this on right, but give it a go. Alright, so that looks okay. So we'll try it and see. There we go, seems to be sorted. Alternator was the issue.